Well, somebody get Doc Brown and the DeLorean. We need to go back to the future. Because 12 years later, after the appropriate time, WWE's figured out how to book and present The Big Show. I guess better late than never, right? Wrestling Reality, one-on-one with me, Justin LeBar, presented to you by Tailgaters Bar and Grill here on TribLIVE Radio. Every single Tuesday, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. Show will replay from 5 to 7. Got a lot of things we're going to talk about here. We're going to talk about the future for Brodus Clay, as we're going to get into Raw here in a second. Brodus Clay had a big part in Raw last night. We're talking about Brodus Clay. We'll talk about Big Show. There was a big incident with Chris Jericho in Brazil. I haven't got to talk about it anywhere. Not on Chair Shot. I haven't wrote about it, so this will be the first time to talk about that. And who else? Well, you never know what else could happen on the show. And, of course, we'll take your calls, tweets, and emails. So first, let's get into Raw last night from the Big Easy. Big Show starts the show, and he cuts a commanding promo. He had the live crowd, not some canned sound, but the live crowd hanging on his sentences with their reactions. Talks about being disappointed in John Cena, the audience being shallow. He talks about crying for his job several weeks ago here in Pittsburgh, and then right after that, we see Brodus Clay dancing. Alberto Del Rio up against the solid entertainer that is Santino Marella. Del Rio makes quick work of Marella, and then Ricardo continues his beef with Santino. Alex Riley gets some FaceTime on Raw, and Big Show makes an example of him sending a message to the rest of the locker room, running Riley's face right into the wall. Eve told Big Show he gets to pick his opponent tonight. Ziggler and Swagger up against Kofi Kingston and R-Truth. I tweeted it earlier. I wish ring announcer Justin Roberts would announce that R-Truth is being accompanied to the ring by Little Jimmy. I think it just adds more to Little Jimmy's persona. Tag champs successfully defend, and finally, Dolph Ziggler seems to begin his breakaway. Upset, screaming, he isn't going to do this anymore, screaming at Vicky. Then he tweets, takes it to Twitter, and says, "You need to get me promoted over on SmackDown, get me promoted." I think he used Randy Orton as an example, get me promoted like Orton. So finally, the long overdue breakaway into the singles career coming for Dolph Ziggler after his long run as a tag team competitor with Jack Swagger. Big Show runs into Brodus Clay backstage, and Brodus and him exchange words, and they're going to have a match later in the night. Brodus says he's going to give Big Show something else to cry about. Laurinaitis comes to the ring with Eve Lewinsky and David Otunga and unveils a cover of the WWE 13 video game with him on the front of it, and then CM Punk shows up. He reveals the real cover, which of course has CM Punk on it. He orders the Hosky and Carlton to leave the ring because it's time for his match against Daniel Bryan. The fact of putting him in a match on Raw with Daniel Bryan is obvious confirmation. We will have Bryan versus Punk versus Kane at the next pay-per-view. We're not going to get Bryan Punk, and it was just announced earlier here online that Kane is going to challenge CM Punk for the WWE Championship on this week's SmackDown. So that seems to be the direction they're going there. Bryan and Punk have another good, solid match, though, as they're always going to do. AJ comes out making a CM Punk shirt look so good. AJ tries to help Punk, ends up costing him the match. Bryan with the win, and then out comes Kane, who gets some revenge from last week. Kane beats down Bryan. Punk then chases off Kane with a chair. Love the face. I love that at face value, this all started with Punk and Bryan. And it started kind of odd. It just came out of the Beat the Clock Challenge. And it started like that, and now they're expanding layers. And now we're getting the layer of Kane on top of it. Now we're getting the layer of AJ on top of it. And, of course, you have the WWE Championship at the core of it. I love storylines that begin to branch out like this. Christian versus The Miz. Christian with the win via his new Frog Splash finish. Miz, still in the ring, talks about the loss, how it needs to be erased from the record books, talks about how he won for Team Johnny at WrestleMania. Randy Orton then comes out, gives him an RKO. Looks like Miz will step into the role that Chris Jericho was going to have with the Orton feud. The continued ripped physique of David Otunga up against Sheamus. Sheamus takes care of him rather quickly. I really hope they're not separating Otunga from the John Laurinaitis cabinet faction, whatever you want to say, because this is, again, Otunga lost to Cena, now he loses to Sheamus. The worst thing for David Otunga would be for him to split away from Laurinaitis and go face. That would be the worst thing for him. Hopefully that is not where they are going with this. Big Show versus Brodus Clay in the main event spot. Big Show at the top of the ramp on the mic says Brodus does embarrassing things every night. He continues to do it. He says people are going to get tired of it. Big Show says he'll be the next Doink, except Doink had more talent. The two start heading towards each other. Big Show spears Brodus. Truth and Kofi then come down the ring, try to help out Brodus. Big Show destroys both of them, and that looked very good. Big Show finishes off Brodus Clay with the weapon of mass destruction punch. Big Show then meets with Laurinaitis at the top of the ramp where they raise hands, and that was the end of Raw. No Triple H, no Paul Heyman, no John Cena. A little lackluster, but it's certainly a showing of Raw, of WWE as a whole, really moving into a new direction on the roster and talent-wise. We'll be interested to see what you think about it. You can call in 412-320-7925 is the number. sportstalk@tribweb.com is the email. You can tweet me at Justin LaBar. We'll be back. It's Wrestling Reality 101 with me, Justin LaBar, presented by Tailgaters.